Hey, welcome everybody to podcast number 23 by 5 Pin Universe. I'm your host, Karie Kreutz. I have the regulars, the Wiseman twins, Adam Weber, and Danny Baer is our special guest. Qualified 12th for the WCBT Tour Championship in August 10th, and he is also now 16th, which I do believe he was from Regina as well, for the 5 Pin Universe rankings. So that'll be my first topic, Danny. How do you feel about finally making a tour championship after 3 years of trying?
Way too excited, to be completely honest. It's like, I had like a good bucket list of like, okay, go to nationals. Like, this is when I was like 19. It was like, go to nationals. Then it was like, I did that. And it was like, medal at nationals. And I did that. And then like the tour started and I was like, okay, I got to make the tour championship. And then I finally did. So now it's like, nice. I'm super excited, super pumped. Yeah.
It was fun watching you on Sunday, just like freaking out coming down the line because, I mean, there were so many scenarios happening and people are slowly falling from the sky from the top 12 down, and other people are making runs at it. And it was, I think, hopefully exactly what Karie was hoping for when we started the WCBT. Just so much stuff going on the final day, so many options and so many people fighting for those spots. So I know it kind of must have sucked being on the opposite side, watching and seeing what's happening. But man, it was fun watching you. Like, sorry, Karie, it was fun watching you shitting bricks. Like,
it shows that you just like, it shows how much. It's not just me. It was like, unfortunate for him, but like Matty Harms, he was one position lower than me. And he was doing the same thing I was doing, right? And it shows just like how competitive it is and how much people really want to make it, right? And it's awesome. And that's like, going into it, I knew, looking down in the standings, like there was like Tim and there's Evan and there's Karie. There's all these guys that were like not in the top 12. And I was like, man, any of them could really, like, any of them can make this cut and any of them can make it go far in this cut, right? And so like going into Sunday, it was like, oh boy. So no, I'm happy with how it worked out. And here I am, number 12.
Yeah, I think it worked out pretty good because 3 people in Heritage ended up making the top 12. So that's 1/4. 1/4 of the tournaments decided the final number. I think that works out. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good ratio, right?
yeah, that's a really good balance.
And a bigger cut line this year too than we've seen in the past. A lot harder to make that top 12 than it has been.
Yeah, bigger cut line. I mean, more members means a higher cut line, right? More members getting points.
Yeah,
so
I think you're seeing your membership's depth of field start to get a little bit deeper, right? You got more guys that are your I wouldn't say your best players, but your quality players are the membership. So you're going to see that number slowly grow till it fills completely full of the best players, right? So
I agree.
We'll talk about the Heritage Traditional. They had 182 entries, I do believe, so up from last year. I do believe that's kind of a reflective of the WCB Tour gaining in popularity and the Tour Championship. And it was a tough cut. We've seen a lot of great players end up in the consolation. Unfortunately for Adam, he was in that position with the likes of Gary Baird and a lot of those guys, man. That it was tough to get out of that consolation, just as tough as to play on the Sunday.
Yeah, I just couldn't get it working the whole time. The lanes were so greased up, I just could not find a line that I was comfortable with. And when I did find a line, I could never seem to throw a double. So it's a little disappointed, of course. Happy with the first 3 tournaments, thankfully, to at least have a chance at that Tour Championship again as well.
Yeah, and as everybody probably knows by now, but you held on to Player of the Year. Eric Chose had to win the tournament to knock you out, or I do believe Bradley Tiggett had to win as well to knock you down out of Player of the Year. So held on by the skin of your teeth, as they would say.
Came to last ball for Eric. I was already at home watching the final on YouTube, and kind of sweating. Of course, never cheering against anybody. Super thrilled for Vic. One of my longest lasting friendships in this game, especially here in Alberta. So super, super stoked for him. Extremely excited for the likes of somebody like an Eric Chose. Like the final two tournaments, it goes first and second. Really, really positive. The kid's got so much game. It's just a matter of putting it all together. And I was fortunate enough to stay ahead of him by just a bit.
Yeah, and something to be said that Victor was the first two-time winner of the Heritage Traditional, a feat that nobody else has done. So pretty cool. I think this was the 13th year, was it not? That's
2008, I believe, was the first year.
Yeah, so 12.
I believe.
Oh yeah, I guess it would be the 12th year then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Took that many years to get a two-time winner. Kind of nice that it was a Central Alberta player in the Central Alberta tournament. Worked out nice.
It worked out well. Victor's one of the best, so.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to playing Masters with him again.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is there anything about that tournament that you guys wanted to critique or lay your thoughts on, or like my thought? I really think they've got to revamp that Friday Night Baker format. Baker format should probably not take 6 hours to complete till 2 a.m. On a Friday night. What are your thoughts on that?
Completely agree. I understand the whole logic of it. I just wish the system, if not maybe the staff or the volunteers, just to change over, right? I mean, if it was instantly started up right away afterwards, I don't think it'd be an issue. But with them having to wait 5, 7, 8 minutes every game, you times that by 20 games or 24 games, right? It adds up real fast.
But that's also the bowlers as well. People start going up for drinks and stuff, and then they're slow to get down to their lanes, and now the team waiting behind them ends up having to wait 10 minutes too. Like it just compounds over time, and
I don't think that's so much about the format. I agree with Dexter. I think that's on the bowlers that the reason it takes so long, right? They go up for drinks. Having those buys probably doesn't help the whole scenario, but I understand why they do it. It increases sales and helps subsidize their weekend that they're essentially giving for dirt cheap, right?
Yeah.
Both ways. I think you have your Friday running late, you're going to affect your Saturday morning, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, I think so. I think there's less people playing Saturday morning than this. Unless you're coming out of town, or unless you're one of the local players playing back-to-back Saturdays shifts, you need those, maybe a second shift. You're not going to play it Saturday morning.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think you're going to be making, well, if you're talking about profit-wise, you're making way more money Friday night than you would ever make Saturday morning. So at the end of the day, at least with them having 20 lanes, it's not going to be super often you're going to have 5 to a lane on your Saturday afternoon shift. So at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like much of a loss, really.
I just wish they had. For me personally speaking, I mean, I understand both sides. Rather just have 20 teams, no buys, and just call it a day. Right? For me personally, because especially when you have a step ladder going on afterwards, right? So if you had no step ladder, all the power with the buys, right? So
yeah, that's kind of what I was about to say. I think they could probably
need
do
one
without the step ladder.
Exactly. You're throwing 20 games.
It's kind of, a lot of bakers. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of it's just like you kind of want to do for fun too, have some drinks. I don't think like most people take it too seriously where you need a step ladder, right? So, I mean, I think Calgary doesn't have a step ladder either. I mean, they run it just fine too, right? So,
I think I was okay with the price increase. I was okay with that. I thought $100 per person, it was more cash in the payout.
In all honesty, I go in there and I have no idea. It's like, how much do I owe you? Here's your money. I can never remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you increase it, by all means, yeah. I didn't have a clue. So thanks for letting me know right now.
Yeah.
I think making it a round number just makes more sense too, right?
It does.
Right. Same reason why we did TPC too. Straight $100, includes everything. Good to go.
Yeah, this was 120 though, right?
Yeah.
So it was $100. It was an extra $20 for side pod also.
Yeah, but you're also playing 20 games, so I understand why they made it 20. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you have just built that directly into the pool? Just make it straight 400, something like that. I don't know. I think Danny hits it right on the head there. That it's more of a fun event, right? It doesn't need to be crazy expensive. It doesn't need to be cheap either, right? Because then it kind of defeats that purpose. Some people make their weekend off that day, right? So like you definitely want a little bit of money. This podcast, just being on with the proprietors here, definitely gaining more of an appreciation for the proprietor side of it as well. Honestly, I just think the event is too long. I just don't think you need a 6-hour event for a fun event. It's grinding. It's unnecessarily grinding, in my opinion. Right. So I think the step ladder can go. I think that's one thing that I think a lot of people can agree to. But I did hear rumblings that people are considering not playing that Friday night event now because of how long it takes. And that worries me a little bit, right? So I think that's where the discussion needs to happen. And if we can start a bit of that discussion on something like this, I think it's beneficial.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just the bowlers either. Like, you got to look at the staff members too, right? I mean, we're there long bowling too, but that's some of those staff members probably work 8 to 12-hour shifts, and they want to get out of there too. They got to work probably.
Their staff is a little bit different than the rest of ours, I think, Danny, because they expect to stay late nights, and that's maybe unfair to them. I mean, I don't think Shelby encourages it, but the night can go on. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I believe on Friday, Saturdays they are open to 1 anyways, 1 a.m. anyway. So it's not that much of a difference, but maybe not quite that full until right till 1. But
it is usually yeah. But I thought the doubles, the format, I thought that was actually pretty good watching it. I thought it was better than I thought it was going to turn out. I enjoyed the format and how the points were total. So whether you lost one and you're getting blown out, you can still try to make another total, come back on the other one. So I thought that was okay. I didn't watch the ladies a whole lot, but when I went over to take a look how things were, I just didn't. There was no real energy there, right? But the doubles worked out really well, I thought, with the Thursday night.
Yeah, I think it went. The doubles event definitely went really well. Sucks that they only end up with 10 teams, but the format was perfect.
How many teams were they looking at having?
I think they wanted to kind of fill it. They wanted 20 teams, but with them knowing that they probably weren't going to get to that number, and then there was a lady shootout that was rumored to be starting. I think the optimal was the 10, and then fill the ladies on the other side. So for what space they had, they definitely optimized what they could do. There was no doubt about that. But you make that into a 2-pool tournament. I think that'd be pretty neat. But any other thoughts? I guess we'll bring up one thing that has been, I know, on some of the proprietors' side and some of the other bowlers. There was some attitudes going on, and I'm not going to point anybody out because that's not the point of this podcast, but where guys were lofting the balls or they were hitting stuff. To what purpose do you think? It's obviously got to be a frustration thing, but what are the thoughts behind a guy on his 3rd ball? No, there's no point to loft the ball because it's not going to increase your odds of making extra points or whatever. What way can we curb that attitude where we can turn that down a notch? Because nothing more frustrating than watching a proprietor get pretty heated because guys are not respecting the property.
Can we start doing fines?
Okay, so I'm kind of thinking on the same sort of way, but you know, what if in these events, because you know what, you're affecting other players out there too. You're throwing these people off. And, like, people are in the middle of their shots and they're seeing a ball go 50 feet out. I mean, it's distracting. And then it comes down, and then it's distracting for everybody, right? So, I mean, that it affects other people while you're doing it. So what if you pull crap like that, what if you get fouled? What if you get assessed a 15-point foul for doing stuff like that? That's going to deter people from distracting other people and destroying stuff right away. Instantly.
Yeah, and the main argument that you'll hear is, oh, I'm not destroying anything because it's synthetic lanes. That's not the point. The point is it doesn't improve your bowling, it doesn't improve anybody else around you, and it makes our sport look foolish. Because you don't see in baseball where a guy throws a bat into his dugout and hits stuff and he doesn't get fined, right? Like, you gotta show professionality, I guess.
I agree. No.
I think a good thing. I agree with the foul, but at the same token, if you look at a guy who is getting blown out of the water in his match, he's not going to care if he's going to get fouled, right? Like a 15-point deduction on him, he's not going to care. If he's already heated enough to loft that ball 50 feet, and he's losing by more than 100, he's not going to care about that 15 points, right?
Fair.
Yeah. A financial assessment.
The other thing is, too, in match play, honestly, if there's a blowout of a match, it's 8th frame, he's down 100 points, he can't affect, the win-loss ratio or anything like that. Just quit him.
As soon as he does it, quit him. I mean, so in that
it doesn't work in that format, right?
No.
Right. So I mean, even in that format, the 15 points could make a difference down the road.
Yes,
it could,
but it wouldn't matter in a different format, right? So you gotta find a penalty that will be even across all tournaments, all competitions, right?
So this is the other thing I want to bring up too, and we discussed this too, is I think it's really hard, especially when we're all playing at the same time, to enforce it, right? It's really tough for Karie to be like, hey, you know what? This guy's acting out. I'm bowling in the 8s versus this person, for example, or the finals. He smashes something, and I'm facing him in the finals, and I had to give him a warning. Or, it doesn't work that way, right? So then you come back to finding, who's able to do it? And then you're always going to have that argument, oh, man, he targeted me. He doesn't like me, right? Or whatever. He looked at me wrong or whatever, right? So I think there has to be, and it's a tough situation to be put in, to be honest with you, Karie. I know as somebody who helps run the center, I want to say something when somebody smashes something, right? It's part of my job to be like, no, I don't accept that. It's another thing, it's tough. I don't know. It's not all on the WCBT, but it's also on the proprietor making sure it stops that too.
And it can't all be on WCBT because not everybody's WCBT members. So that's the hard part. They're not the governing body of the tournaments. They are an umbrella of the tournaments, right?
Yeah, the tournament themselves has a committee that you would look to hand out those, whatever the penalty will be, or the warning, or something like that. WCBT definitely, I think we are definitely moving towards our membership has to be professional. If it's not, we can definitely step in and maybe assess a financial penalty or something like that. But yes, that if part of the board is playing, I don't think they should be involved in that. But
I think it's really important to keep those two action items separate, though, right? So lofting a ball is one thing, but hitting something is a totally different thing, right? Number one, with the lofting of the ball, who's going to police it? What are you going to have, like a loft line or something like that somebody's out there watching, like a foot fault, right? And the other thing, it is a legally delivered ball, whether we like it or not. It's a legally delivered ball. There's no difference from throwing it from behind the approach, right? It is a legally delivered ball. Is it annoying as hell? Absolutely, but there's technically nothing wrong with it unless there's a lane guard out there, right? And then again, who's going to enforce it?
Well, I think when it's 45 feet out, actually, you know what? Let's go into Dexter's rulebook corner right now and see if he can pull that rule up.
Rule 5, conduct derogatory. B, double I, throwing balls in an extreme lofting manner in an underhand or overhand motion. Participants shall not display conduct which can be deemed unsportsmanlike.
So when it's going out 45 feet...
Is there a height? Is there a length? Is there anything in there?
Yeah, but you know the player's intentional delivery. You're going to notice like misconduct. 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. I don't disagree with that, but is there a legitimate ruling to it? Like, is there guidelines behind it? Or is you're going to call it on somebody, and then they're going to say, oh, okay, well, it was a legally delivered ball.
No, but but I guess my argument towards that would be that's not your regular routine. The last 1,000 balls you threw was not that way,
right.
And we noticed you did not stick. That's obviously a misconduct.
Right. There has to be. You have to be able to, like, you can see intent. You can tell when someone's like, oh crap, I screwed up. You know, like I've done it. And my foot slipped out.
Yeah, there would be a warning for that. But I think you would have to skip over a warning if you know it's intentional.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that would be up to your committee to decide, right? It's not going to be a cut and dry rule. I think. It's just my view on it. That's something I would never do. So if I did it, I would expect a fine, because that's not my normal play. I shouldn't be doing that, especially in the WCBT membership. I'm trying to portray it as a professional sport, and then I blow up on the lanes and throw a hissy fit. And
so maybe what this comes down to is that for these WCBT events, there's really only one center that does this. We need to have judges of plays so that they are a neutral body to all of this. Neutral to the WCBT and the center and whatever, and just look at it unbiasedly and go from there. And if they happen to be a WCBT member that does one of these things, then they'll get an additional fine from us. You know, but
or brought forth to be ruled upon, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not pointing fingers out here by any means, but in our center, the Dexter, my center. And you know, we lead by example. We don't hit things. We don't smack things. We don't do any of that. And it wasn't. I mean, TPC can get bad. I mean, like we always talk about Michael West smacking against Adam, but I'm okay. I'm actually okay with that because it was heat of the moment. It just built up emotion, and I get that. But it wasn't nearly as bad as it is in Red Deer, right? And unfortunately, I think there's situations out there that encourage it, and I just wish it was not followed through like that.
Now, I guess a caveat to that too, because you guys had also mentioned, the possibility of having a foul or something along that too. Now, like for a loft. Now, as part of that ruling, Dex, is there any penalties or anything mentioned in that?
No, I don't think there is.
No, but it does. There isn't. It's just repeat offenders, or what is this all under? Yeah, no, there's no real rules besides participants who are reported to the Provincial Association on two or more separate occasions shall be liable for suspension of membership. But it doesn't. Just because it's not in the C5 rule book doesn't mean that we don't get to put our own rules into. You can follow the C5 rule and still have C5 rules, but you can still have your own additional rules with it. So it just has to be put into the entry form or something like that. Yeah,
I think that'll be something the WCBT will definitely be looking into, because I know I was pretty offended, and I'm not even a proprietor of Heritage Lanes. I was just bowling out there and seeing some of the crap that was going on, and it pissed me off. Which you try and separate yourself away from that so you can concentrate on your own game. But And maybe that was the intention of it, was to affect other people. Who knows? But
Yeah.
anyways, we'll move on from that.
Another thing that I got pissed off on during my first shift there, there's like 3 people that were completely out of it, and all of a sudden, hey, let's bring the stick out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the problem with that stupid stick, whether it's legal or not, right, you cannot not see something that's extended 2 to 3 feet beyond the foul line. Like in the middle of the air. You cannot not see it, right? I don't care how focused you are. So, and then, of course, you know, people are drunk and they're doing all that stuff too. But to me, it really pissed me off. And I barely missed that shift. I know I was really heated for about 6-7 frames, right? So lost my focus because of that. Like, is that a legal throwing motion, I guess? It's just you can't get tour points? Is that the ruling from the WCB standpoint?
The WCBT has put into a rule, and this was about 3 years ago, that it's not part of our professional outlook of the sport. So you're not awarded any points if you happen to gain points by using the stick during your shift. But it is a scratch tournament. It's open, and there is no C5 ruling against it. So for the tournament side of things, the host tournament or whatever, it's perfectly legal. You just don't get WCBT points, that's all.
I think the intent was for those that are injured or unable to bowl. Normally this would be for. I know Mike has been injured. His shoulder has been messed up before, but the other 2, it was just a gong show. It was just to be a spectacle.
Yeah, and because it's a scratch open tournament, you literally could play right-handed, left-handed, between your legs. You can play any way you want, and you can switch up at any point. There's no average, there's no POA, no handicap, right? It's straight scratch. You can do it as long as it's legally delivered, and legally delivered is by the C5 rule. The WCBT doesn't allow bowling aids unless it is for medical reasons, such as amputees, blah blah blah, stuff like that. And if a person does need that bowling aid, they have to submit it to the WCB Tour committee with a doctor's note explaining the medical exemption, and then it will be ruled upon at that point in time. But it's not available for WCBT points, just if you decide halfway through the shift to switch.
Fair. I do also want to point on a side note, thinking about the Red Deer event. Obviously, Adam not making the finals was Adam's the best bowler in Canada. So I in my own personal opinion, so him not making the finals was tough. But I was interested to see if Gary was going to beat Sean, because if Gary and Adam faced each other, I wanted to know if the minimum game was 350 shot against you, Adam. Like me and Shelby were in the me and Shelby were talking. He's like, it's over if Adam faces Gary. Gary's going to whoop his butt.
I might not have even played that match.
So we'll give some context to the audience. People don't know. Gary has a very substantial winning record against Adam, and it tends to be a fairly high average.
Unfortunately, mine is also a very high average, and I still can't win.
Not very high compared to Gary.
No, that guy is my nemesis.
Gary's not one to brag or even show emotion, but he sure loves to brag about this.
Yeah,
he loves his smiles. He loves every second of it.
That's the only time I ever see him really smile.
I know, it is a big ring too.
It was funny at the Autumn Open this year. We were coming down. I think it was the very last game of the tournament, and I think I had a chance to still jump up into possibly even up to second, I think. And I think I came out flying at him like 4 or 5 marks in a row. And he opened the first 4 or 3 of the first 4, and then he runs an 8-bagger at me. and knocks me down to 5th, and then I think he jumped to 2nd or something like that. So
you took the money,
Yeah, it's absolutely unreal. 4 frames in, I'm thinking, hey, this is my chance. I'm up like 70 through 4. Yeah, and then he throws an 8-bagger.
5 and 6. Yeah, you were on 5 and 6. I was watching.
You were 3-4.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Good for Sean Langwell though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, no offense to you, Adam, but it's nice. It's nice to see him, go through that gauntlet and make it. So kudos to him. That's awesome.
Yeah,
An
absolutely.
up-and-coming bowler that definitely is deserving to make the top 32.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's put his hard-earned money where
Correct.
his mouth is. So, and he played awesome. Unfortunately, he didn't make it out of the next round on the Sunday, but definitely played his heart out. That's for sure.
Yep.
How about Kevin Holdsworth? Broken foot and all, making the cut. Isn't
Ridiculous.
that unreal? He couldn't play on Sunday because
That
his foot
is
was ridiculous.
impressive.
How does that make you feel, Adam? Broken foot makes the cut.
Oh, that's fine. It kind of kept him slow.
Yeah. Didn't see a single hop.
No, but did you hear what happened against his match against Tyler? In our bracket of death, I like to say, because I had Mitch, I had Tyler.
Crazy.
If Adam qualified, he would have been in my bracket, and I would never made it out of it. And then Adam has my number, and then Tyler's up there, second or third last game, and Kevin did not mean to do it at all. He even came up and said, "Sorry, dude, I didn't mean to." Me and Tyler are kind of vying for the last spot, and he threw his 12th ball. He was already up, and he threw his 12th ball fouled and lost by 1 to Tyler. So Tyler gets the extra 50-point bonus. So instead of me being up 77 going into the last game, I was only up 27, right? So he went up to me after. He's like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, "Dude, I know you weren't trying to. It just kind of happens."
Situational.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure, but yeah.
It's great to see Lonnie Akers
Yeah.
recover.
Back at it.
Yeah, he seemed like he was recovered good.
Seemed fine.
It looked solid. So awesome. Really good. That's months ahead of where we thought it was going to be. Really.
I was shocked that he'd be there, and I was hoping, obviously, he was going to hold on for Tour Championship. But to even just be able to play that, and he's super excited for it too, right? So he's going to be one to watch at that championship.
Well, the stands will be full of his kids, that's for sure. They're going to be cheering with pom poms and everything. I think. Yeah.
How many?
It'd be really good.
How many does he have? Exactly.
Well,
between him and Victor.
Fair. All right, there you go.
You can have your own youth seminar there, yeah.
Yeah, did they do a youth seminar or anything on Thursday this year?
Because Red Deer hosts the Tour Championship, they withhold till the Tour Championship to have their youth.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I guess we could touch on the Tour Championship. So it's running August 9th and August 10th. August 10th is obviously the filming. And the WCBT has been talking about running a different event on the Friday instead of doing the $500 challenge, Pins Game Challenge. They're talking about doing a Ryder Cup style event. So as far as I know, everything's not official yet, but it's very, very close. It'll be the top 16 WCB Tour points winners will be automatically invited. Obviously, if some of them can't make it, like I do believe Mitch Davies is from Hamilton, Ontario. I'm not too sure if he'll be able to make it out for just the one-day event. It will just move down the list till we fill that 16. And then they're asking a couple veteran captains that aren't playing the competitive circuit anymore to be captains to draft the teams and then pick an extra 2 players out of the WCB Tour membership. So out of the 72 members, 72nd could be picked to be on the team and show up on August 9th and be a part of the competition. And it's shaping up to be pretty good. I think it's going to be quite the event.
I can't wait. Oh, it's going to be so good.
Awesome.
Even when we talked about it like 3 months ago, instantly, and then of course we're starting to get some feedback from Facebook and Patreon and all that, and everybody seemed to be fully on board with the Ryder Cup style, and I cannot wait to see how it plays out. I think it's so cool.
So
what type of events?
There is like 8 or 9 different events. As far as I know, like I said, the format's not finalized, but it looks to be 4 rounds, and every player gets a play in each round, and it'll be different style of events. You'll have to wait to see. Obviously, we're not going to spoil it till it's finalized and we put out the formats and all that stuff. But some of them are pretty neat. I think they'll all be scratched. There'll be no funny like no tap or anything like that. But there'll be different styles of how to score and stuff like that. So,
assuming the finale will probably be a singles round, like in golf would be.
Right. It very well could be. I do believe they're going to live stream everything, so that may not be an option because it'll be too long. But you never know. Like I said, it's still being worked on. So.
Very cool.
So Danny, our special guest, is to have to answer a few of our questions. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
So, first question. Who is your bowling mentor?
Oh, geez. If I had to pick a single person, I would say my mother, Karie Baer. Great competitive bowler in her day, and she basically taught everything I know. Obviously, going to the Saskatchewan Bowling School, I can probably pick out 10 coaches, just off by heart, looking back through the years, everybody that's taught me everything I know. But even in my adult years, I can even pick out, there's always something to learn every year, right? And every tournament I have, I feel like there's something I learn, right? And I'm always looking. So, but like if I had to pick a single one, I would say my mom.
Perfect. Like I said, that's been a common theme for everybody. It's usually a family member or somebody close to the family that tends to be the one that they grew up through the sport to get into it. So, very cool. What's your favorite tournament?
Oh, format-wise, I really, really love Red Deer's traditional. I love how it's something different from the top 32 step ladder format. I love that it's blocks of 8. I love that it's you play everybody kind of thing. I love how it is. Definitely one I would say I would always recommend to people if they've never bowled it. Like, always go to it. My favorite house to bowl out of would actually, well, it was Sherwood with the wood, but we'll see with the renovations how they match up.
At this rate, it's going to be the same thing next year. So
perfect. Well, they're still my favorite.
Yeah.
Okay. Your toughest match.
Toughest match. I like to say this one. It was my second year in Masters. I believe it was 2015 or 2016. I was a singles representative for Saskatchewan. Going into the last day, it was super tight. Everyone was kind of 1 or 2 wins away from each other. Going into the last game, I think we had like a 5-way tie for first between, like I said, 5 of us. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I know I was playing Mike Elder from BC. And he was one of the ones that was tied with me. And he comes out the gate flying a 5-bagger. I go turkey, left spare, something else. Needless to say, we ended up finishing the match. I finished with 393, and he finished with a 353. And after that win, it qualified me to be alone on top first in my first year Masters singles. Fortunately, Shane Chafe beat me in the finals. But silver medal is pretty cool, and that's one I'll always remember, I think.
Yeah, especially being your first time as a singles rep there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, on your home turf.
Yeah. Yes, on my home turf, yes.
2017 on your home turf, yeah.
Yeah, finished the last game in my home alleys as well. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So what's in your arsenal? What are you throwing? What's your shoes?
I use custom shoes, Air Jordans. Everyone sees them because they're really bright and colorful. I have a few. So if you haven't seen them, get your eyes checked. That's all I can say. Like, they're super bright. Like, there's no way you can miss them. Balls, I typically like to use soft rolls. I like just the tiny bit of movement they give my ball. If I'm finding it too dry, though, I will use some urethane hard rolls. Yeah.
I know you kind of said one of these on earlier in the podcast. One of your bucket list items was to make the Tour Championship, but your career is so young. What is your ultimate bucket list item that you're hoping to accomplish before you hang up the shoes, put the bowling balls away?
Oh, I don't know if I'll ever put the shoes away. I think it's hard. I think it's gonna be hard for me to ever quit bowling. But like I said, I did have a bucket list, and like I said, it was kind of had tiers: make a national, medal at a national, make the tour. I would say what's left on my bucket list is to win a gold. That'd be number one at any national for sure. Winning a tour event is definitely up there as well. I've come close. Finally, I actually won an A-side match for the first time in my career this year, which was pretty awesome.
Really?
Yeah, I've made the cut. I made like 12 cuts, and I've never won an A-side match until this year. So, cool. And another thing I think honestly is it's a little bit of a weird one, but I would love to bowl a mixed team with like my sister or my mom, like at a national or something, or even Sarah, my girlfriend. Like that's another one right now. You know, I mean, I feel like I have to name drop, but yeah, second. Yeah, no.
That's another one right now. Was not the most confident thing I've ever heard you say.
I'm sorry, Sarah. Please.
Yeah. We're not nice people.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely right now the biggest one on my bucket list. Number one, I really want to do is win a gold.
So,
at a match.
Danny, if you win a gold, would you retire?
No.
Okay.
I would.
Good answer.
I love that. Like, I think honestly, if I won, the next goal would be like to win a gold at the other national. So if I won at the Open, I'd want to win the Masters. And like if I won the teams, I'd want to win singles and vice versa, right? So I think I'd kind of keep on trying to go down the ladder, right?
Yeah.
All right, I got one that I think we probably touched on it a little bit over the course of these podcasts, but one that I know a lot of us have talked about quite a bit, maybe in more side conversations over the last week, 2 weeks type thing, but trying to find the balance in life versus bowling. And I know there's a lot of people that get a lot of flack for not making events, or making it to events, or not traveling, or doing all this. I have an extremely busy schedule with all the bowling events. My son's soccer schedule, any type of work. Like there's so much going on, especially during this month. At least in Alberta, we've got the Heritage, we've got the Open, we've got Green and Gold, we've got all these other little tournaments. How do you guys find time to get everything in your schedule?
Unfortunately, I don't think there is a way to get everything into your schedule unless you're retired and don't have to worry about anything. You're always going to have a balancing act, right? Like myself, as we've alluded to several times, I'm an accountant. I have a tax season, so I can't make the Green and Golds. I can't make that stuff. But I try and make all the tour events. I try and make the Open, the Masters, and financially stable too helps a lot, right? Where you have the funds to travel, to do all that stuff. And we are extremely lucky in Alberta that 3 of the events are literally
here.
2 hours away.
Yeah.
So we are extremely lucky, and that's why I never give any flack to people out of province, because I just couldn't imagine having to play all the events and do all the travel and being able to make ends meet, especially for essentially is a hobby at this point in time. There's not enough prize money to make it a career, right? So you have to balance it.
Has anybody had an issue where somebody has maybe called them out for not going to an event or anything along those lines?
We call those people hypocrites.
I think Dexter can probably say he got it. When Dexter wasn't going to Regina, he was getting some flack for it for a while. Yeah. Right, Dex? Yeah.
But likewise.
Yeah. But you have to pick and choose in things in life, right? And like, okay, so this sounds dumb, and I say this all the time. But you get one life. You get to make the opportunities of whatever you want them to be at the time, right? And sometimes that is having to prioritize. And you know, people have kids. At the time, like my girlfriend was living across the country, right? So I mean, at that time period, it was hard for me to make a choice to go spend what could be $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 to go to Regina at a place where I'll openly admit I was struggling. I had a hard time making that cut. I don't know what it was, but like it just seemed that it just wasn't in my cards.
2,200 maybe.
Well, no, but at the time it wasn't. And you know what? There was a year where I shot 1,500 for my first 5, and then punched my lights out for the next 3 to miss the cut by like 15. You know. It just, and at that point, I just kind of had my breaking point, and I was like, I can't justify spending this amount of money to go to a place where I am struggling, even though I realistically should have just gone and like worked it out. But you know, when I could be visiting, you know, and so that was the priority at the time. People end up having kids, and that becomes priority. Like you said, Karie, life is way too busy, way too many things going on, way too, you know, financially taxing on people for you to essentially gamble certain things. So I mean, I think I think people should play everything because I think it makes them better, but you still have to live your life. So
I agree with Dexter wholeheartedly and Karie on that. I think I run many events throughout the year, and I don't begrudge people who say, you know, I got my family, you got family coming up, things like that. I think family comes first. We're just bowling at the end of the day. It doesn't define who you are, but your family is more important, I think, than bowling. Do I want you guys to play? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, there's more important things in life than bowling. Now, for everybody to go out and want to play these events, we highly encourage it. We want you to play. We want you to get better. But my only problem I have with everything is if you commit, don't wait till the 11th hour to tell me you're not coming unless something's come up. That's all I ask, right? Is that I know we deal with a lot. Danny can attest. We do a lot of events throughout the year, and all of a sudden somebody's like, I can't make it. I'm okay with it. Just let me know. Like, don't let me know, you know, I get the 6 a.m. text on a Saturday morning for the TPC. Like, I get it. It happens, right? But don't wait till the 11th hour. Now, going back like 12 years ago, like 12 or 13 years ago, I came out of school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And obviously the bowling alley and that venture wasn't there for us just yet. But Lauren, who owned the business at that time, he went off to Mexico and threw Mom into the manager's position, and without really showing her anything, Mom's been around the business for so long, she kind of threw her into there. I decided I wasn't going to school, one, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and Dexter went to school for 1 year, but when we started being more involved in the bowling, I thought to myself, Tim, I really want to do something. I want to be one of the best bowlers there is, right? I can make some money at this. I can do it. And looking 12 years from now, boy, was I don't know if that was the right career path I had, but
10 pin, Timmy, 10 pin.
Right? But right, but do I enjoy every moment of it? Yeah. You know, some of my friends have grown up and they have kids now and they have all the other stuff. I don't think bowling's hindered that, but I don't know. It's just kind of neat how, you know, Danny has the same passion I see about bowling that I had back then. Hopefully he has that passion at my age, because I lose it sporadically here and there. But Karie and I have been to every event the last 10 years, basically. Right? We've been to we went to Fort St. John. We've been to Abbotsford, and I got a little bit of flack for not playing the doubles down in Red Deer, I felt, and I'm kind of pissed about it because I support every event. Unfortunately, I didn't really have the funds to play the $500. I didn't really looking for a sponsor on that aspect, but I would have had a sponsor if they needed to. Dexter and I were willing to step up to fill up the 10th spot. We talked about it. We would be willing to go in there and do that, but I was kind of a little peeved. I've been to every event for the last 10 years, and I kind of got a little bit of crap when I walked in. And I think that was kind of unfair in a way. So that was my long-winded answer. Timism.
Do you know any other way?
Hashtag riddles.
Oh, that's a good nickname. That's a good nickname. Riddles. Hey, we got puddles and riddles.
I got point A to point B. I went to C and D and E and came back. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. Danny, you have any thoughts on that? How to balance the whole bowling thing?
I mean, everyone's kind of said what I agree to. Just speaking from personal experience, like right now, I'm at the age where like you said, my career is young. I am young. I'm not going to school. My life is the bowling alley, really, and I feel that's a lot of the young ones, right? I mean, I obviously have the advantage. My parents own a bowling alley, so I can really do any time I want. But like I have made it a point to practice as much as I can, bowl all the events when I can, because I do want to be, like Tim said, I want to be the best. I want to try and be the best, right? I want to get there, and I am getting there because I'm bowling more events. But I feel eventually, right, like life will get in my way. I'll want to try and probably own the bowling alley myself, and I might not be able to financially afford or be able to leave the bowling alley to go to these events because I'm going to need to work, right? Or kids or anything like that.
4 more dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anybody listening at home, go on my Facebook, look at my dogs. They're awesome. Yeah, that's another thing, right? Like, if I can't find someone to help look after my dogs, I'm not going. Like, that's what it is, right? Mm-hmm. Like, life does get in the way, and it's unfortunate, but, like, you do have to take care of yourself, not only with your bowling, but you have to take care of yourself mentally. And I feel if you just bowl, like, even if you want to make a career out of it, like, you do need a break. And, like, you need to take that time off, right? And, like, that's why I don't try and give any backlash. Like Tim said, like, that's not cool, and people don't like when you're not bowling an event. But, like, they got to understand, like, not everyone's life is just in the bowling alley, right?
Yeah, I just don't think.
Basically, said, so.
Yeah, I just don't think bowling should define who you are. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Is that when you're outside the bowling alley, you should be defined who you are.
Speaking from someone who is 100% defined by bowling, and I'm like,
I'm a nobody. I'm the nobody outside the bowling alley. Get over it, buddy.
Right, exactly. So you are defined by bowling. Okay. There's 3 of us that sit on this podcast right now who literally spend their lives in a bowling alley.
Yeah, not Adam.
I was referring to you, me, and Dan.
Yeah.
The other question is, Danny, do you actually practice?
Yeah, I do. It depends. It kind of depends on when the season is. Like, if the Open or Masters is coming up, I won't just bowl league. I will take the time to find, like, I'll go on a Sunday when I'm not working, just to, throw balls. Or if I'm really struggling with my game, I go to my mom, like, hey, like, come watch me throw a couple balls. I need some help. But, like, just normally do throughout the season. If I don't have a tournament coming up, my league is my practice, right? I bowl twice a week normally, right? So I find that is usually enough.
Yeah. Wait 10 years, you'll never throw another practice ball again.
I think that's complete opposite, though, Timmy. From my personal experience, I'll get more out of that half-hour, 40-minute practice session than I will out of a 4-game league where you're just kind of nonchalant. Like, if you get focused, dedicated practice time, and that is one thing that I would highly recommend to a lot of people. Just get out there for a half hour, 40 minutes, and really focus on something, right? Your league's great. Like, your league just kind of keeps you going through the motions. That's to really focus on something, you need dedicated on one particular shot or two particular shots. You're not going to get that in league, right? Gearing up, I think a perfect example, Danny. Like it's you gear up for certain tournaments. I know for the Open, we'll team wise we'll get out there for a bit, but I'll probably do my own little half hour, 40-minute session just to really focus and get myself going for the team, right?
Just to go on top.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll just do this little spill. Just to go on top of that, like example, when I was bowling the Master Singles, I had asked Tom Patterson for some help, and he made me throw chop spares for like an hour straight, just chops, right? Like that's a perfect, and it actually really helped because I didn't really have to spare a whole lot of chops. But when I did, like I didn't really miss it, and it's amazing how just literally just focusing on that one thing can just change a game, right?
So, Adam, you should go and practice chops for an hour straight.
I need a second session every week.
No,
that would have went really well this weekend at the Heritage.
Adam, I meant that Danny's gonna get tired of just being around the bowling alley once in a while. I don't think he'll want to go and practice.
I honestly don't know how any of you guys do it.
Like I'm already tired of it.
Yeah. Like I grew up in a bowling alley. When I was 15, I was working at Chinook and then over at Toppler, and then you're playing your 2 leagues, and then you're doing like all these things. Like this is the last place I wanted to be, was a bowling alley. I don't know how you guys are still there, but kudos, because we need you.
Yeah. But that's circling back to all of this. That's the reason why. Like, you know what? If there's an event I don't want to play, I don't care what anybody says. I'm just not going to do it because, my God, you get burned out.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure we're all in the same boat right now. But like, it's been so much. The last thing I really want to do was go throw more balls and I'm not going to go into an event and play it, not wanting to play it because that result isn't going to be good.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not just going to donate my $500 because somebody says I should be playing.
I'm not going to lie. I went into Red Deer this year at Heritage, and I went in burnt out. And I knew it going in, and I wasn't mentally ready. I played okay. I probably enough to make a cut, but I don't know how deep I was going. I wasn't mentally ready. Everybody gets burnt out, right? There's so many events. I know we had the Open Provincials, and then we came back. Then we had Green and Gold the next weekend, right? And then we had League that night, right? And then we had a 300 tournament on Tuesday, EPL on Wednesday, which I got a lot of flack for not going to that.
Yeah,
right? And then we had Friday for the hybrid doubles. So it's so much bowling. Yeah. Then you get a week away, and that's the week you're supposed to be preparing to go to a tournament. Last thing I was doing was going to prepare.
Yeah. I wasn't prepared for Red Deer either. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just played. Oh, Karie, roll your eyes on, man. Like I didn't. There was one shot that I needed.
You should try that more.
Since when did you ever prepare, Tim? I don't understand you being
prepared
for a tournament. That's never happened. So your argument's null.
That's fair. I don't prepare.
Exactly. Every time we go to a tournament, you always tell me, "Oh, I'm not ready to play. Oh, I don't feel that good," and then you shoot lights out. So I just your argument is never good. And then, like you just said, I wasn't prepared, but I finished 4th.
So
sometimes you just got to make that cut and then go, right?
There was one shot I made in the 32s where I needed to throw the striking 10 decks to knock Tyler out, and then I threw that strike, qualified, and then after that, it felt like I was ready. Like I don't know, that one shot just made me okay for the rest. Yeah. Confident, I guess, right?
So quick question then. So when was the last time that you guys took like a real vacation?
Last month for Dex.
Like
April 1st.
I'm talking like a 10-day, 12-day type vacation that you're not limited by work or vacation days and all that stuff because they're generally dedicated to bowling.
April 1st.
Pretty much my whole summer.
Yeah.
You earned that though.
Probably like a vacation. Well, we went to Chicago.
Yeah.
We went to Chicago last month. But other than that, before that was 2010.
Like it's so rare, and that's my worry about getting burnt out and playing too much. Right? Because WCBT is growing at leaps and bounds, and everybody wants to play those events. I want to play those events. I also want to play the Open. I also want to play Masters. Right? At what point I get 3 weeks vacation? How else am I supposed to fit it all in? Right, so I know a couple of years ago, I bypassed Masters and we went on an actual vacation. But then you bypass Masters, right? So you have to find the work-life balance. I'm going to miss TPC this year because of Braxton's event down in Mexico, right? So super stoked, but I cannot not go, right? So it's
for you.
well, it is but it also cost me a chance to play, one of the major events. And quite honestly, there's a real good chance I don't play Regina next year because of it. Right? So I might almost semi-shut down the WCBT tour next year because I missed one event, right? So
you're not going back to back?
Loser.
On what?
On Player of the Year?
No, who knows? It's an honor, but it's not. It doesn't define me. Like we just went through that. Bowling doesn't define me, right? So what defines me is my person away from bowling as well.
You guys are really hitting this bowling podcast.
Be great bowlers, but be great people too.
Yeah.
Carrie, don't worry, everybody. He said he was going to retire in 2017. He's still around. He's just a liar.
No, only 1 foot in the grave.
I can put the second one in, no problem, buddy.
You probably. You're coming with me.
Back to the start. Play what you can. If you can't play,
don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry if anybody says crap.
More of the story is enjoy your life. Don't just bowl.
We all appreciate what you guys do and what you guys support. So thank you.
Get a dog.
Yes, get many dogs.
Alrighty. Well, that's an hour, guys. I think that'll wrap this one up. I know we didn't get through many topics. We went on off topic a few times, but I'd just like to thank Danny for coming out and answering our questions and giving his insight. Once again, thanks to the Wisemans. Adam, you guys have any final thoughts on this one?
Go Sharks.
Go Sharks.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tough loss for the Blues tonight, Adam.
Hand pass. Beautiful.
that'll be on the next reviewable. That one stings, boys. That one stings.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming up.
Thanks,
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.